Welcome to the Maximize Business Value podcast brought to you by Mastery Partners, where our mission is to equip business owners like you to maximize your business value and achieve the exit of your dreams, whatever that means to you. With insights gained from over 100 business transactions, we share real-world strategies, lessons, and expert advice to help you build long-term, sustainable value in your business. Each episode is hosted by one of our Mastery certified partners. They're seasoned experts who've helped countless business owners navigate the complexities of growth, scaling, and building value. They bring first-hand experience, actionable insights, and a passion for helping you build a business that thrives. So let's dive in.
This episode is the second of a two-part release. To hear part one, follow the link below. Thank you for listening to the Maximize Business Value podcast.
Hi, this is Dave Casey, and welcome to the Maximize Business Value podcast. So this is a series of podcasts that are specifically for business owners that are intent about building long-term sustainable value in their business. Today, I am so excited to be joined by Melanie Shaffer of TalentSuite. So Melanie, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks
Yeah.
for having me here.
So I know you've been on the podcast before with Tom, and with dealing with Tom is just kind of a whirlwind. So we'll forget about that whole experience. But
Hey, he's like me, so I feel at home with Tom. It's okay.
yeah, it's hard to keep up with him. So tell me a little bit about your background, and for our viewers that may not have seen that podcast, your background and how you got to talent, how you got to found your company.
Yeah, so this is actually my second company that I founded. I started my career as a CPA and quickly realized I was misplaced and fell
I
into.
can't even comprehend you being an analyst or a CPA.
Oh, let me tell you, you don't want to see the work I produced. It was not my best work. Took me a while to figure that out, but it gave me some exposure that helped me when I got into the recruiting space on the agency side. Most people fall into agency recruiting because they don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So I recruited CPAs for many years, and then I founded an executive recruiting firm several years ago with partners and got into the space of supporting CFOs and transactions and placing CFOs. And that really opened my eyes to the need for CEOs to better understand how to bring in the right executive team members and integrate them. And that's what led me to starting TalentSuite 9 years ago.
Wow.
When I started TalentSuite, it was born from a mission to help leaders work better and be more productive and ultimately more fulfilled.
Neat. Oh, neat. Then it's been expanding since then. And I know that I think the last time you were on the podcast, we talked about using analytics and using predictive index in particular and stuff like that. But I know what you do is way beyond that. So that's one aspect maybe of what how you help folks. But what is that expanded into now?
Well, I know you and I both have had many expanded roles that when you start a business out of a passion of solving an issue, you think it's X, but it's really like X plus all the things that get to Z, right? And so when we got in and started working with predictive index, because I used it in the other business I was an owner in to hire people, and then also solve the dilemma of, is it a hiring or a training problem that we have? Like once they're getting here, is there a bigger issue in how we're deploying people to be able to be productive and supporting them? And so we had that problem, but I kind of forgot the second half of the equation when I started this company. It was more like, let's focus on helping them hire the right people and put them in the right seats. And as the company evolves, make sure they're in the right seats. That's the obvious problem that most business owners want to solve because it's a check the box thing. Like once I have someone in the right seats, they'll magically do everything and they'll be able to scale leadership in the organization. What we do today that we didn't start out doing is as we implemented a behavioral analytic, which is predictive index, and there's many of them out there that companies can use to understand their people, we started seeing that putting people in the right seats is only half the solution. The other half is how are you providing them with the ability to create ownership in the
Yeah,
organization
yeah,
at
yeah.
all levels?
Yeah, it's not just a skill thing or even a passion thing. You've got to they've got to feel that same desire that usually the business owner has, but certainly getting the rest of the team into that desire is a difficult deal.
Yeah, and the complexity of that issue obviously varies depending on the owner's desire for how far they want to go in scaling their
Yeah,
business and what their goals are, at what point they want to exit or transition it.
sure. Yeah, and that's kind of where we get involved with folks. So one of the challenges, I've got to ask this because one of the challenges I would think there is if it's an owner-led business,
Hmm.
uh, they don't like to let go of stuff like that. They are even if they want to build a team, sometimes they it's very hard for them to turn things over to where all the team members are actually leading that section of the business and making those decisions and doing that. So to me, that's one of the biggest challenges we have overcoming. Probably the number one, I think, is the number one problem of owner-led businesses looking to transition in some way, is that they're way too dependent on the owner.
Mm.
That they haven't done what you do, which is help develop this team so where it's a self-running kind of situation.
I think you're right. And it's interesting. Sorry, there's a fly. When you're thinking
That makes for a
about,
good television.
yeah, I'm like, oh, what's she doing there? Uh,
The squirrel.
I would agree with you. So, what's interesting is we've spent the last 6 months gathering research on our 250 clients and dialing down into the root causes of why the companies had hit a plateau and were not
Yeah.
either able to move forward and continue growing, or they were growing at what we call all costs, which is
Oh,
eh, eh, eh,
yes. Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, because that's what we solve.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we wanted to look at our own data and see what are the most common root causes of these people issues. And we found three when we dialed down, starting with like 100 and
Wow.
started creating themes and bringing them down and down and interviewing our clients. It boiled down to what we call ownership gaps is the number
Yep.
one, which is what you just said. Sometimes it's the founder, sometimes
Yep.
it's some person on their team that's, the sacred cow that's been allowed to retain ownership and the owner knows they need to do something about it.
Yeah. Uncle
We could talk
Charlie. I
about
call
that
it
a
the Uncle
long
Charlie
time.
syndrome. What's Uncle Charlie doing
Yeah.
here? Well, he's always been here.
But that
He'll always
falls
be.
into in our assessment that we give around
Yeah.
people drama, that's ownership gaps.
Yeah.
The second one is what we call the underperformance trap. And
Mhm.
that's where you have leaders in the organization that don't understand how to delegate effectively, how to set expectations, and how to deliver feedback.
Mm.
And so we end up working with those types of companies, meeting them where they are, looking at what they're already doing, and giving them like bite sized ways to start implementing those things in their organization. And then the third is what we call the role fit gap. And that's where you either are hiring some of the wrong people, you're missing someone you need to continue moving forward,
Yep.
or you've got one or more people in a critical seat that are misplaced.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of stepping back to deciding, can we equip this person to function in this seat? And that takes some work on our part to
Yeah.
assess and understand that. Or do I need to separate some of their work? We call that kind of repurpose,
Yep.
reallocate, or is this just not going to work and we need to
Yeah.
figure out the right graceful exit?
Now, have
So,
you have you run into the scaling issue, which the way I describe it is, and I just have kind of the evolution when I had my company. We started with two people, and then we started adding people. Eventually, we didn't get huge. We had like 30 folks when I exited the company. But the situation was you'd hire somebody, you'd kind of enable them and equip them and get them going at their position, but inevitably the position kind of outgrew them.
mm,
We had that scenario where they were great when we were a $5 million company, but when you're a $10 million
mhm,
company,
yeah,
maybe the right fit anymore, at least for that position. Certainly a fit within the company somewhere, but to scale, sometimes you need somebody with just more horsepower at certain locations, certain parts. And those are hard conversations, when you're in that scenario. And
They're very hard.
yeah, and we've always tried, well, we tried, and we encourage our clients, obviously, to everyone that comes on board, you want to hire the best person you can for the position that has some capability to grow within that position,
Mhm.
but also you map out a career path, So one of the challenge, and you probably run into something like this, the company that I worked for before I founded my company, they had a thing called a senior sales role, which was
Mhm.
this is a salesperson that's never going to go into management. He's never going
Mhm.
to manage other sales folks, no matter
Mhm.
how well he does or she does in that position.
Mhm.
They're really good at what they're doing, and that's what they want to do. And they don't want to manage people. That's just, they're good at what they do, and that's fine. And they'll follow a process. You change the process, they'll follow it. But it's a situation that you kind of eke out a spot for that person, and that applies across the organization sometimes. So to me, that HR and people problems were the most challenging thing I ever dealt with the company, and
Mhm.
it's so great that you have an organization that can address that. So that's huge.
Well, I always say these things are not one and done. There's no push button solution. Outsourcing it is going to be a temporary relief.
Yeah,
So I'm not denying that it is a journey if you want to continue to have a sustainable growing business,
yeah,
and you can grow at all costs. That is possible. We're for the companies that want to grow in a way that's sustainable.
yeah, yeah. Well, and yeah, that's man, that is so key. And as you mentioned, kind of doesn't necessarily mean people come and go. It means maybe their roles change over time.
Yeah, and if people have the opportunity to have a relationship with their boss where they're having conversations on a regular basis with a structure we provide where there's clarity on where they need and want development,
Yep.
then they can decide what they're willing to own.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, when we're able to get in and get the analytics and spend time coaching someone that's having performance issues, we're able to bring back information to the owner that allows them to decide, do I want to continue investing in coaching this person,
Mm.
or do I need to have a bigger conversation?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've told owners many times, sometimes you have to invest in coaching one of your key leaders because you're not emotionally ready to make a decision. And when I told you data, not drama, part of collecting data is
Yeah.
performance data. So let's invest in this person to
Yeah.
help you make this decision. And they are saying they want coaching. So get them coaching for 6 months. And if that doesn't move the needle, you've now got performance data that's layered on performance data, that's layered on
Yeah.
performance data. And then you feel comfortable making an emotional decision
Yeah. Yeah. The
instead of letting
data,
drama continue.
that is, we talk a lot about systems and processes with business owners because a lot of our clients are in that $3 to $15 million range of
Mm.
companies.
Okay.
And unless they came from a bigger background, a lot of times their systems and processes are just kind of make do, or we kind of
Sure.
invent it on the fly kind of thing. That creates a lot of drama because
Mm.
particular. I'll just use sales as an example because it's one of my areas. But if a salesperson could be doing great for a while, then they're not, and then
Hmm.
okay, how do we get you back on track? And many times it was a series of events that led to their success. A different series of events led to their less than success. But if there's not a built-in process, a very well-defined, this is our process. If you follow the process, you'll be successful. Um, that leads to a lot of one-on-one, person-to-person kind of confrontation versus,
Hmm.
okay, are you following the process? If you are,
Hmm.
then inevitably you're going to get better results. If you're not, then we found the problem, and we got to work on that. But it takes a lot of the drama out. It's really all data driven at that point.
Yeah, I see it as kind of three-pronged in what you're saying. So, in running a business that size, you absolutely have to have core processes in the areas that you guys come in and help them create mastery
Yep.
around.
Yep.
Okay, that's number one. Number two, you have to have a process for how you structure and hold people accountable to having ongoing one-to-ones with their
Yep.
team members. And that's the gap I see most missing. And that's because leaders don't know how to, even when they have the process, they're like, what if the person says this? What if they say they don't like their job? What if I don't have the answer? So they resist number two. And number three is you've got to give them the training of
Mm,
how to have relationship-based conversations with their
yes.
direct reports.
Yeah.
We do number two and three, number two and
Yeah.
three.
Yeah.
And if you don't have these two, it doesn't matter if you have a bunch of processes in your business.
Yeah. Yeah. And I came from the IT world. So it's all systems and processes in IT. And there is this huge gap of people, people handling issues, I guess, and it's where we've always seemed to have problems. We got engineers, right? Engineers do
Hmm.
not want to have person to person talk.
Hmm.
Give me all the data, give me the process. I'll follow the process. I'd like to do it on my own. I really don't want to be on the team. I don't want to do this. So and that's a generalization, but just in typically engineering folks and engineering minded folks love the process, don't really like the human interaction as much. And that was always a challenge because who's going to manage it? You need somebody that has all those skills to manage that kind of team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I'd say it's across all industries right now, Dave. I'm seeing, I speak nationally in Vistage. So I'm in the room with the key executives, the CEOs, all the way down to the emerging leaders, all throughout the year in all kinds of places and companies in varying sizes that are, members in these groups. And, one company that we've been working with recently that's in the footprint you serve, they're around 7 million top line. They're a marketing agency.
Yep.
The president reached out to me because he said, "Oh, the Vistage chair who runs the group he is in, so I need to
Yep.
talk to you about this predictive index because I'm having people issues." And I'm
Yep.
like, "Okay, so let's talk about what is it that you're looking for this to provide in your business, and let's talk about where you are as the questions you would ask in your business strategy and blah blah blah." So it turns out he called me to have a transactional process push button conversation, which is where most
Exactly.
of these people start with me.
Yep.
By the end of the conversation, he realized I have a much bigger issue
Yeah.
than slapping a process or slapping a tool in place to
Yep.
solve it. And it turns out he had a leader that had been promoted that was having issues with how she was behaving with her employees. And he
Oh,
thought a tool could solve that.
no.
Number two, he was promoted above someone else in the organization where there was, when I started asking questions, some tension he had not even acknowledged until we had the bigger conversation. So I often say that my job is reframing. So when CEOs reach out to me, they think they need one thing. By the end of the conversation, they either are like, "This is too hard, and I just wanted the tool." And so I refer them somewhere else. If that's all you want is a tool, we're not,
Yeah.
it's really not the value that we provide
Yeah.
so much more.
Yeah.
So we're not for you. But if you're looking for a way to grow a sustainable business and embed habits, that's us.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've been doing for that company is getting in and helping him even have conversations with this person that's having behavioral issues that the question I asked him is, how important is it to you to retain this leader you've promoted that is
Yeah.
not behaving appropriately? He said, critically.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think she's coachable? I don't know. I haven't talked with her about it yet. So, I mean, it
Yeah.
turned into like, I'm coaching him how to approach her. So, those size of companies, how we engage with them, Dave, looks a lot different than how I engage with a 50 million plus company,
Sure. Yeah.
right? Because they already understand these things that I'm
Yeah.
coaching this
Yeah.
$7 million company. about. But I work with all ranges because I love working with companies at his size to move past these things that they just take some habits we have to help you create and some coaching, and then you're going to be off to the races.
Yeah, that was another question I was going to ask you, even before we started on this conversation, was where have you seen, what's been some of the most fulfilling type engagements you've had where what you brought to the table really moved the needle for these people and do that? Because and I know that goes way beyond just providing a tool, so that's a lot deeper.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Maximize Business Value podcast. I hope today's conversation sparked new ideas on how you can continue driving value in your business. But remember, it's not just about listening. It's about taking massive action. Visit our website, masterypartners.com, for more resources. Grab a copy of any of the books in the Maximize Business Value series on Amazon or via the links below. And don't hesitate to reach out if you want to know how to apply these concepts to your business. So until next time, I'm Tom Bronson, reminding you to relentlessly execute while you maximize business value.